Hello guys and welcome to my channel Aniotoku, and today I'm reviewing a much beloved Disney show about a girl who gets isekai'd to another world, taken in by an old animal person, and has to go on these wacky adventures in order to find their way home. That's right, Amphibian. Oh, you thought I meant the Owl House? How silly, did you not read the title? Anyway, let's start with Season 1. They say you can skip most of the episodes in Season 1 as it's filler. But I completely disagree. Season 1's great. I mean, I get it, you want to get to true colours, you don't want to see Polly learning, oh, it's okay to spit sometimes. So if you are planning on skipping some episodes, these are the ones I would say you definitely have to watch. But I really enjoy this season as a whole. I think if you don't have it, then the more impactful moments in the later seasons aren't going to be as impactful, as you haven't spent that time learning about the characters, their little character quirks and all that stuff. Not to mention there's some pretty funny moments. Okay, so hi, Editor Mason here. I was going to put this one scene here, but I spent like 20 minutes trying to find it and just couldn't, so instead I'll reenact it with sock puppets. Hi, I'm Sprig. I'm leaving Loggle's workshop. Oh wait, I come back and there's this really weird statue. We're gonna come back and talk about this, Loggle. In terms of characters, I actually think Polly's one of my favourites. It's before she gets forgotten about in the later seasons, and I know a lot of people find that cute character that has an evil side to them annoying, but I can't help but like it, and it's done well with Polly in my opinion. I know this may seem a bit weird, but Sprig feels so directionless. I mean, he's just like a straight man with no personality, basically. But I obviously did like seeing how his and Anne's relationship grew over time. Speaking of Anne, she's kind of a straight man like Sprig, but I don't really mind it as much. Maybe that's because she does still have some sort of a personality. I don't really have much to say on her. She's a good protagonist. And of course, Hot Pop. How can you not like Hot Pop? Bill Farmer does such a good job portraying him. Every single line sounds just right. Not to mention he's super funny. They set up some nice emotional stuff with him burying the music box. I said earlier that Polly was my favourite character, but I think it might have to go to Hot Pop. Oh, and how can I forget the whole twist at the end with the Toads mistaking him for some freedom fighter? Hot Pop's great. So let's talk about the end, shall we? Episode 20, Reunion. It seems a bit unfair to compare this to the other two season finales, as it was just early days and there weren't as many stakes. But that final fight more than makes up for it. Seeing Anne finally stand up to Sasha was so cool, and something that got set up all the way back in episode 1, Best Friends. This is also the beginning to Sasha's long redemption arc, with her realising Anne will be better with the planters and sacrificing herself to what she assumes will be her death. Hell, they even foreshadow Grimes' eventual good relationship with Sasha by having him save her. Whilst the majority of the episode may be pretty mid, the end of the episode is absolutely great. All in all, I'd give Amphibia Season 1 a 7 out of 10. Nothing amazing, but it had some interesting characters in some interesting situations, and the ending was pretty good. Now for Season 2. Now, many people would argue that Season 2 is the best season of the entire show, and those people would be right. For the first 6 episodes, it's what I like to call a travel season. Season 7 also had one of these, and they're great because it means we get to see the same characters that we love in new places interacting with new characters. It also just helps to expand the world and is really good for world building. And by episode 6, it all kicks off. They're done with episodic stories. It's time for plot. In case you're unaware, the first part of Season 2 follows the family trying to go to Newtopia to ask the king about the music box. And when they get there, they meet Marcy, the lovable klutz that may or may not be autistic. I personally really like Marcy. She has a nice relationship with the planters, which is something I don't see many people comment on. But she's also just very fun. She's packed with a ton of D&D and anime references, which I love. And yeah, she's pretty cool. I think the Newtopia stuff might be some of the best of this season, other than obviously True Colours, which we'll get to in a moment. It gives us a really nice Sprig episode as he explores the hotel with unlimited. And you of course got that really heartwarming scene where he questions Anne about if he can miss someone that he never even knew. Man, I teared up at that. One episode that I didn't like, however, was when Marcy gets that note from the king that's in like a puzzle that she's got to solve. Firstly, I don't really like the fact that Anne gets upset when she can't solve any of the puzzles. It feels really forced and doesn't fit her character really. It's also really obvious when she starts making friends with the townsfolk and helping them out where it's gonna go. But just after that low point, the series decides to hit us with another tearjerker as the planters leave and Anne has to stay behind in Newtopia. I did think it was a little obvious that she was gonna end up going with them, but it was still upsetting. Now we make it to the temple and town stuff. As for the town stuff, it felt a little unneeded, especially the Mrs. Croker one. It really came out of nowhere. But I did really like the Ivy one. It helped flesh out the future girlfriend of Sprig. As for the temples, I thought it was a cool idea how it would test all three of the gals, even if I did wonder how Sasha was going to end up at the third temple. I'm not really sure what to say about the temples. They were a little underwhelming, all things considered, but they did have some cool action and a couple of cool moments. Oh, and I almost forgot the scene where Hot Pop reveals why he buried the music box, because he was the reason that Sprig and Polly's parents died, and he didn't want to endanger them or Anne again. I mean, technically it wasn't the reason, but you know. It was also cool to see Anne not stay mad at him and just hug him instead, even if that was obviously what was going to happen. Oh, and it's also really cool how they didn't just go back to being instantly friends like I expected them to. Instead, they actually are very awkward around each other, which that's how it is when you've had a fight with someone you're really close to and try and go back to the way things were. Even if they then, immediately after that episode, go back to being cool. But now we've made it, the moment I keep hinting at, the moment you've all been waiting for. Or not, I don't really know what you're waiting for. It's time for True Colours! Now, naturally, there's so much I want to say about this episode, but one thing I do want to talk about is the title. At first you think it's Sasha's true colours, as her and Grime betray everyone in order to take over Newtopia. But then it's revealed that Marcy's the reason they all got trapped here, and you think, oh, maybe that's what the title's referring to. And then King Andreas betrays them, and it's revealed that that was what the title was inferring. And to be honest, I have no strong opinions on this betrayal either way. I do like it much like everyone because he keeps that goofy nature, and that wasn't an act. But most of why I love him comes from season 3. Now, in terms of the scene where it's revealed that Marcy's the reason they're trapped here, this is just... It's such a complicated scene because, I mean, on one hand, you get why she did it, but on the other hand, it's wrong. And when Marcy says to Anne, look at Sprig, I gave you him. It's so complicated because, yes, Anne has got to have all these fun adventures with Sprig and the Planters, but she's also missed her parents and her home. Now that's how you write a complicated character. Now let's talk about Anne's powers. In this particular scene, I like it. It won't stay that way, but for now, It's a really intense, well-written scene. Sprig gets thrown out of a window, which... Come on, we all knew he was going to be fine, but still, that's intense. And then Anne's just like, give me him back, and man... That was kind of emotional. That hit. Also, something that I did like throughout the entire show was how weak these powers made her. It was good because it actually felt like they were stable. Oh, and Polly got her legs. It was nice that they tried to do something with her with the death of Frobo and her getting her legs and stuff. But like, I mean, she was already too far forgotten by this point. And now we have the ending. How do I... I'm literally speechless, but because this is a video and I have to speak, I will. Firstly, this felt like it could have been permanent. I mean, it wasn't resolved instantly, that's for sure, and this episode already felt like it was aimed at a slightly mature audience, maybe like 8+. Oh, and King Andreas, he was like, look what you made me do. Don't worry, I'm not gonna sing. But based on what we find out later, that line hits so hard, man. And boy, do I believe. And boy, does this season end with a bang. The Planters go through the portal and they are back in Anne's hometown. Season 2 was so good. It's had some really unique, interesting ideas, some amazing new characters in Marcy, some redeeming factors for some old characters like Sasha, and ended with an absolute... Now, in terms of ranking... A 9 just seems way too high, but an 8 seems a bit too low, so I'm going to give it a bit of a weird 8.5. However, I have spent a long time editing, and this video is one of the more lengthier ones, at least for my channel. I know it's pretty short compared to other people's channels, and also my thoughts on Season 3 are a lot more negatives than my thoughts on Season 2 and 1, so to keep this video light, I'm going to leave it here, and I'll be coming out with a part 2 sometime soon. Like, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I'll see you soon. Bye!